It is a beautiful Wednesday afternoon. Welcome to NMH at 1, your lunchtime news and current affairs program. We're glad to take you through the lunch hour with the latest happenings across Namibia and beyond. Keeping you company throughout today's broadcast, I am Diana Master. Let's have a look at what's in the news today. Namcor opens a $13 million service station in Swakopmund, the 10th in the country. SBS Trucking donates to Dordabis-based orphanage. Faster internet connectivity coming to Africa. The world's top tennis player announces early retirement. Sudan sanctioned by the US for human rights abuses. A look at the news headlining today's daily newspapers. This and more on today's NMH at 1. In today's midday news update, Nedbank Namibia has recently moved into a new building, which means that their current building is now on the market and will be sold on auction. The auction will take place on the 28th of April this year at 12 p.m. and will be held at the offices of Okor Namibia in Windhoek. Located on the Dr. Franz Indongo Street, the building is in the heart of Windhoek's commercial center and is set on a 940 square meter earth with a gross building area of 3,765 square meters. This modern building spans 5 floors with basement parking for up to 42 vehicles and a 250 kilovolt amps generator. We'll now take a quick ad break.
Have you received a loan from NSFAF? NSFAF loan is the same as any other loan. It must be paid and settled. NSFAF has a set of guidelines on how you can repay your loan and become debt-free. Therefore, it is important that you, a former beneficiary and a responsible Namibian, show your patriotism by helping pay back your loan and thus helping NSFAF become a revolving fund for the benefit of future potential students. By failing to pay back your NSFAF loan, you risk being blacklisted or having a court order against you. So arrange with the fund to pay back your loan today. For more information on how you can repay your loan, visit our website at www.nasfaf.na or visit our Facebook page or Twitter. Do the right thing and hashtag #paybackthemoney.
Welcome back. Let's head into today's video news. Namcor officially opened its 10th service station in Swakopmund at a cost of about 13 million Namibian dollars last week. The pit stop, situated just north of Ocean View and along the road to Henties Bay, consists of a service station with 6 pumps, an old tower, and lists first ever Pick n Pay Namibia Express. NMH at 1 shares some of the highlights from the opening. Let's have a look.
Man, what you say?
What's your name?
My name is John.
John?
Yes.
Are you a petrol attendant here?
Yes, yes.
How does it feel to be part of a new Namcor service station?
No, it feels very good and it's a pleasure for me.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay, are you ready to help me?
I'm very ready.
Adam Hartman here for Irungu 24/7. I am here at the Namcor pit stop service station on the edge of Ocean View, Swakopmund, along the road that leads to Henties Bay. It is one of more than 30 service stations that will be opened across the country by the Namibian Petroleum Corporation.
And on every occasion, we love to come together as Namibians and celebrate. Celebrate new beginnings and smart partnerships. Partnerships built around a vision to achieving a lasting impact by working with others, and not just working with others, but co-creating. And I see this very much as a co-creation where Namcor Pick n Pay Express, our franchise owners, Altava List, came together and created this beautiful site. So what better way to support our local environment than partnering with our first local petroleum company, Namcor, a truly Namibian company, much like Pick n Pay Namibia and O&L, showing our communities that we care about the future of our beloved country.
This development support our local agenda for increased social economic activities in our town through local and international investment in various sectors of our local and regional economies.
This site is so important to us because it marks a very important milestone to NAMCO. It is site number 10 in our network. We have a very ambitious program which says by 2024 we should have built 33 sites. I know some of you might be saying, would that be possible? But let's think about this. We opened our first site in August 2019, and we are on site number 10. So within a period of about 3 years, we have 10 operating sites. We have 5 that are under construction. We have another 5 that are at an advanced stage in terms of the paperwork to get this done. So we are really positive. We are optimistic that we will reach that target. 2 great brands have decided to come together. That is Namco and Pick n Pay. We are striving to share best practices, and also we are striving to ensure that what we do for the customers.
Remembrance of SBS Trucking expresses its gratitude for being involved in the donation of roughly 4 tons of non-perishable goods to the Hope Orphanage in Dodabis. They managed the transportation of the enormous donation by Wuto Trading, while Roswitha Ari of the orphanage says donations like these are a lifeline. Irene Marie van der Walt was there.
You see all those beautiful trucks outside there, ne? Yeah. SBS, the gentleman behind it. Ne? Right.
Good afternoon. Yeah, thank you so much for welcoming us in Dodabis. We are SBS Trucking. My name is Remembrance. I'm the financial officer for SBS Trucking. It's a wonderful opportunity that we got from Charity to offer these services to transport important goods from Windhoek up to Dodabis for the future president and the future engineers of Namibia. So we just want to say thank you to the organizers. We just want to say thank you to Charity, to the media for giving us this opportunity to showcase what we are made up of. We are SBS Trucking. We do logistics from South Africa to Namibia, to Botswana, to Zambia, and we are also in the international clearing. I want to thank you. Thank you so much.
All right. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Good afternoon, kids. Okay. My name is, as already said, my name is Roswitha Ari. I'm the founder of Hope Orphanage Home and Support Group Dordabis. This project has been funded in 2009 by myself and my sister that is also not here. We are registered with Ministry of Health and with other stakeholders as well. Dordabis almost constitutes mostly of approximately 1,800 inhabitants, which most of them are women and children. These kids are coming from disadvantaged communities, so basically this is where we host them. It's like we keep them here, we feed them, we bath them, we do their laundry, and then we help them with homework as well. My mom is a retired grade 1 teacher, and I should also really appreciate her using this opportunity to appreciate my mom. that assist us with the school-going kids, with their homework and so forth. So I also would like to appreciate my volunteers as well that assist us with no cent at all. And let me also use the opportunity to appreciate Namib Mills that supplies us every month with the basic needs that we need for the orphanage.
When we return, we will be taking a sneak peek inside Namibia's daily print publications. But first, a quick ad break. Thank you for staying with NMH at 1. We now take a look at what the lead stories are in Namibia's daily newspapers. On the Namibian Sun front page, reports from the Magistrates Court in Katutura, where 2 men have been charged under the Witchcraft Suppression Proclamation Act 27 of 1933 yesterday, after they were arrested for allegedly being part of a suspected syndicate involving buying the hair, sexual organs, and hair and nails of people with albinism for sale outside the country. Namibia has the most people with albinism per capita in the world. However, this incident has been described as shocking by both police and the albino community. The 2 men were arrested in Windhoek on Friday during a sting operation led by Police Chief Inspector Christina van Doomen dan van Zeg. The men allegedly told their victims that they sell albino hair to a man living in Katima Mulilo and another in Europe who visits Namibia to pick up the collected body parts. The case has been postponed for further investigations and the 2 accused have been denied bail. In another Namibian Sun report, the Environment and Tourism Ministry has expressed dismay in comments made by Ombudsman Basilius Diakuga with regards to human-wildlife conflict in Namibia. In a recent statement, Diakuga blasted the government for concentrating on so-called theory conservation and prioritizing tourism ahead of local people's lives while not implementing concrete measures to mitigate human-wildlife conflict in the Bwabwata National Park. The ministry spokesperson Romeo Muyunda said it is particularly disappointing that the ministry was not approached by the Office of the Ombudsman to get a full understanding of the matter. Moving over to the Republican, it leads with the Brakwater residents and businesses claiming they had been paying endowment and betterment fees to the city of Windhoek for the last 18 years, while the municipality is now allegedly unable to account for this money. The newspaper also tells the story of a 32-year-old homeless man from Swakopmund who won his court case against the Namibian police for an undisclosed amount of damages after he had been held in custody unlawfully. Republican keeps an eye on the resumption in the defamation court case between Namibia Wildlife Resorts and its former chief executive officer, Zelna Hengari. Hengari is suing NWR for $7.5 million Namibian dollars in damages due to their press release in April 2018, which according to her contained inaccurate and libelous information. According to court documents, NWR is refusing any payout of damages. The trial is set to continue until 31 March. Moving over to Allgemeine Zeitung, under the headline, "The oil industry is generally not trusted," Allgemeine Zeitung gives a voice to the international environmentalist and activist Andy Gergio. The Canadian exploring company Recon Africa is once again accused of unfair practices in dealing with Kavango local authorities and has not yet submitted any new safety assessments and has not undertaken any further public consultation. In doing so, the company reinforces the distrust and skepticism that environmental acts have towards their industry. Him and his colleagues are concerned that the world has a long history of past environmental damage caused and left behind by the international oil industry. He fears similar consequences in Africa and pointed out that damage in places like Nigeria has already led to international court cases. Allgemeine Zeitung takes a look at the crime report of the past weekend. A 23-year-old female suspect was arrested following the allegation that she had killed a 1-year-old baby girl in January by choking her with a pillow over her face. It is further claimed that she then dug a hole behind her bedroom in the Ogongo and buried the body. Also in the Ogongo constituency, a 51-year-old woman was allegedly raped and murdered. A 27-year-old suspect was arrested after allegedly stalking the deceased Hendriana Kambikiti, hitting her on the head with an object and raping her. The woman died as a result. There were also multiple incidents of deadly stabbings in various locations. We'll now take a quick ad break and return with more news from Namibia's dailies. Stay tuned. First up, in the Namibian, Prosecutor General Martha Imalwa has laid out the key suspects and their exact roles in the fish rod case against 6 accused standing trial on fraud, corruption, money laundering and racketeering charges. In total, James Hatu Kalipi and his cousin Tamsin benefited from over half of the fish rod spoils, with more than 200 million Namibian dollars shared between the two. Imalwa's affidavit describes both of them as architects of the corrupt fish rod scheme. Despite not holding any government position, the two cousins participated in most of the meetings with Angolan office holders and Namibian role players. Still, with the Namibian, the Independent Patriots for Change has responded to criticism of the timing of launching their political campaign for the 2024 presidential and National Assembly elections. The IPC said it was not among the invited guests at the independence celebrations held in Swakopmund, and therefore chose to have a long street march from Windhoek City Centre to Goriankab in Katutura. In a radio interview yesterday, the party's Secretary General Christine Algamas said the fact that the launch was held on Independence Day shows the high regard in which the party holds the occasion. Moving over to New Era. New Era reports on its exclusive site visit to the National Oil Storage Facility in Walvis Bay, which were in the headlines recently for the massive escalation in the cost of its construction. The multi-billion-dollar facility is now fully operational following the government's ambition to increase Namibia's security of supply of fuel and petroleum projects. The facility was finally constructed at a total cost of 6.5 billion Namibian dollars. It received its first oil vessel in December 2020 and distributes oil products nationally as well as to neighboring Botswana and Zambia. And finally, New Era reports that the defense lawyers of the 2 American citizens accused of the assassin-like murder of Andre Hekmai in Windhoek in January 2011 totally destroyed the evidence of a state witness in a mini-trial to determine the admissibility of a search at the bed and breakfast they were staying in. The lawyers hammered former Sergeant Christopher Namboga on the reason why the police could not obtain a search warrant, while also accusing him of being untruthful in his verbal testimony. Market Watch's front page story examines the prospects of the local traveling and tourism sector, according to an analytic study by Simonis Storm. The new COVID-19 protocols imposed, coupled with the announced resumption of the Qatar Airways flights to Windhoek from 25 June, are expected to boost Namibia's tourism sector. Namibia and Tanzania are the only SADC member states who allow fully vaccinated foreigners to enter their countries without a PCR test. That is it for today's newspaper review. The future is now, and when we return, we'll be giving you an update on efforts to bring faster internet connectivity to Africa. This and more as we tour the world of economics. Stay tuned.
Choose your flex package with Paratus today. Sign up for ultra-fast fiber with the convenience of mobile LTE. That's 2 products in 1 bundle. It's new, it's 1 bill, and you can stay connected in more than 1 location.
For more information, visit paratus.africa/NA.
Always prepared. Paratus.
In today's economic news, a subsea cable owned by Google that promises to double internet speeds for millions in Africa arrived in Togo last week. The Equano cable will also land in Namibia this year and forms part of Google's latest step in a multi-year project to provide cheaper internet access to users across the continent, the first of its kind to reach Africa. The new line will also land in Nigeria and South Africa with possible branches offering connections to nearby countries and is expected to start operating by the end of the year. Google said the cable will indirectly create 37,000 jobs in Togo by 2025 and boost GDP by $193 million. This may be a taste of things to come for other countries set to benefit in a region where internet use is rising fast, but where networks are often cripplingly slow and are a drag on economic development. The Namibian reports that Bank Windhoek has put $100 million Namibian into developing 133 commercial and residential properties with 14 partners in northern Namibia. This was said by the bank's managing director Baroness Hans at the Northern Annual Estate Agents Awards ceremony held in Oshakati earlier this month. She said northern Namibia has always been a strategic focus area for Bank Windhoek, as shown by the bank having a footprint of 16 branches and 106 ATMs. Hans added that the volatile economic environment poses challenges for businesses and individual households in Namibia, but she emphasized that there is hope for the property market as the latest data shows recovery. Apple Music, mobile app store and podcasts resumed services only yesterday after facing outages for 2 consecutive days, according to this page. Tuesday's outage also affected Mac App Store, users of Apple Card, Apple Books, iCloud web apps, and Weather. The outage on Monday affected 11 of Apple's services, including Arcade and Maps. We now take a look at the latest economic indicators. The Namibian dollar trades higher in relation to the euro and the US dollar, but has lost value against the British pound and Chinese yuan. MTC has dropped 0.10% on the NSX and Namibian Breweries Limited by 0.01%. Most of these stock prices increased, with Trustco Group Holdings shares now trading 4.10% higher. Prices for Brent crude oil continued to increase while other major commodities dropped. We return with news from Sudan, where human rights abuses have caused the country's police force to endure sanctions from the United States. We bring you this and more stories from the African continent when we return. We now take a look at latest news in our neighboring countries and later on extend to the rest of the globe. The U.S. has imposed sanctions on Sudan's Central Reserve Police Force for human rights abuses. The Treasury Department this week accused the CRP of being at the forefront of the crackdown on protests against military rule in the Northeast African nation. Since the October 25 military takeover, Sudan's Central Reserve Police has used excessive force and violence intended to silence civilian activists and protesters. Treasury Undersecretary Brian Nelson said in a statement condemning the country's security services for killing, harassing and intimidating Sudanese citizens. Under the sanctions, any CRP assets in the US will be frozen. Yellow fever outbreak in Kenya. Kenya this month declared an outbreak of yellow fever in Isiolo County after the death of 3 people. More than 20 people were reported to have contracted the deadly viral disease in the previous month, and counties bordering Isiolo were placed in the high-risk bracket. There's no specific antiviral drug for yellow fever at the moment, but the disease is preventable through a single-dose vaccine which provides a sustained immunity and lifelong protection for 80 to 100% of vaccinated people. At the moment, Kenya doesn't have a regular vaccination program for risk areas, but the government usually arranges for mass vaccinations during outbreaks. We'll now take a short ad break and return with international news. Stay tuned.
Ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, welcome to another exciting edition.
Four Israelis have been killed and several others wounded in an attack in the south of the country, police say. 3 people were stabbed to death outside the BIG shopping center in Beersheba, while a 4th was rammed by a vehicle driven by the assailant, they say. The attacker was shot dead by a bus driver. Police said Tuesday's incident began when the assailant stabbed a woman at a petrol station, then drove to a shopping center where he rammed into a cyclist. He then went to a second shopping center across the street where he stabbed more people before being confronted and shot. A number of wounded people, some reports to have critical injuries, have been taken to hospital. It is the deadliest such attack in Israel for several years and follows a spate of stabbings by Palestinians of Israelis in recent weeks. It is the 3rd attack of its kind since Saturday. A Ministry of Education today issued a notice stating that schools for girls would be closed until a plan is drawn up in accordance with the Islamic law and Afghan culture. The Education Ministry acknowledged authorities faced a shortage of teachers, with many among the tens of thousands of people who fled the country as the Taliban swept to power after the West-backed government of President Ashraf Ghani collapsed. The Ministry of Education had announced last week that schools for all students, including girls, would open around the country on Wednesday after months of restrictions on education for high school-aged girls. The last time the Taliban ruled Afghanistan from 1996 to 2001, it banned female education and most female employment. But after returning to power in August, the group has promised opportunities for girls' education and employment. We'll now take a quick ad break. Stay with us. Welcome back to NMH at 1. Let's take a look at local sports news. Namibia Football Association Secretary General Franco Cosmos is adamant that hosting the 2027 Africa Cup of Nations will benefit the association in many ways. The country and Botswana have expressed their desire to bid for the 2027 African Football Showpiece. Cosmos feels that this will bring about sponsorships and job creation, as the association will be required to hire more people. The NFASG added that hosting the tournament would mean that there will have to be active leagues, and this will therefore have to be done before the tournament kicks off. The rivalry between Namibia's top horses will be ignited after confirmation that Visigoth, Burundi and Starlisle are all expected to race at the Okahanya Epukiro horse racing competition slated for the Garden Town on Saturday. Organizer Irishua Murangi has confirmed that over 60 horses have booked a place for the horse racing event slated for Okahanya on Saturday, as some of Namibia's top horses resume their challenge for bragging rights. The Okahanya Horse Racing, in collaboration with Epukiro Horse Racing, are hosting the event in order to provide a platform for horse owners and jockeys to get an education on social security. The much-anticipated Desert Festivals began today at the Walvis Bay Private High School as future world stars are testing each other's mettle till Saturday. The stage has been set and all athletes have their eyes set on the prize as 15 schools compete in the annual Desert Festival at Walvis Bay. The schools will be challenging each other in different sports codes such as hockey, netball and rugby. We now take a look at international sports news. The world's top women's tennis player Ashley Barty has stunned the sport by announcing her early retirement at the age of just 25. Today is difficult for me and filled with emotion for me as I announce my retirement from tennis, she said in a video posted on Instagram. The Australian leaves the sport less than 2 months after becoming the country's first homegrown Australian Open champion in 44 years and winning a Grand Slam tournament on 3 different surfaces. Football fans will finally be allowed to return to stadiums following President Cyril Ramaphosa's announcement that outdoor venues will be permitted to host up to 50% of their capacity. Ramaphosa on Tuesday evening announced the easing of several restrictions as part of Adjusted Alert Level 1 that comes into effect from midnight March 23rd. Former PSL star Gerald Phiri has sensationally advised Malawian attacker Gabadino Mango to leave Orlando Pirates to save his career. Following several discipline issues, Mango has found himself on the sidelines despite starring at this year's AFCON finals in Cameroon. Phiri has now advised the 29-year-old to leave Pirates to save his career. Well, when we come back, we'll be looking at the highlights. Stay tuned.
Ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, welcome to another exciting edition.
Thank you for staying with NMH at 1. In case you missed it at the start of the show, let's have a look at the highlights. The U.S. has imposed sanctions on Sudan's Central Reserve Police Force for human rights abuses. 4 Israelis have been killed and several others wounded in an attack at a shopping center in the south of the country, police say. Namibia Football Association Secretary General Franco Cosmos is adamant that hosting the 2027 Africa Cup of Nations will benefit the association in many ways. The world's top women's tennis player Ashley Barty has stunned many by announcing her early retirement at the age of just 25, less than 2 months after becoming the country's first homegrown Australian Open champion in 44 years. The Equano cable owned by Google promises to double internet speeds for millions in Africa. It arrived in Togo last week and will also land in Namibia this year. Those have been your highlights. Thank you for staying with NMH at 1 and spending your lunch hour with me, Diana Master. Remember to tune in tomorrow at 1 p.m. as we take you through the latest happenings in Namibia and beyond. But until then, here's a compilation of news from across the regions in Namibia. From me and the rest of the team, goodbye.
Welcome back, viewers, to Regional Review. My name is Monique Adams and I am the South Correspondent for Namibia Media Holdings. Today we're celebrating World Maths Day, and I get it, math for everyone seems to be something very difficult, but don't let those numbers fool you. Today we celebrate it, so I am giving you a task. Try and work out an algebra equation, and then we headed from there. So don't let the numbers intimidate you in any way. Maths is a great way to exercise your brain. So I hope you enjoy the day and enjoy the show. First up in today's news segment, FNB handovers Noordoever Secondary School equipment. Last week Friday, on the 18th of March, FNB Namibia handed over 5 laptops, 5 projectors and 5 pull-down screens to the value of 7,500 Namibian dollars to the learners and teachers of Noordoever Secondary School. With their engagements to the Old Mutual branches all over Namibia, last week Wednesday, the Old Mutual executive team made a turn here at the Keetmanshoop Old Mutual branch, and the Southern team, shared their Southern anthem to impress the executives, and this is how it went.
Are you ready?
Yes.
I hope it's a little work on me.
This year I will grow. I will take chances. I will focus and surprise myself. This year I will build. I'll write something new. I will be free and I will make choices. This year aid and do. We are the Southern team. We are here to serve and to grow with accountability, integrity and respect. We will push beyond boundaries. Viva! Viva Old Mutual! Viva Southern team! We will push beyond boundaries. Viva Old Mutual! Viva Southern team! We will push beyond boundaries. Viva! Viva!
Now we speak to a 21-year-old Imelda Kadira from Kwes, who wrote her own book, It Goes On, at the age of 17. Now we get to speak to her as she shares what her book is all about and what she hopes one takes away from reading it.
Okay, I'm Imelda Kadira. I'm 21 years of age. We are currently in Kwes. I wrote a book when I was in grade 11. My book's name is It Goes On. I wrote this book at a time when I was depressed and going through tough times alone. So the book's name is It Goes On. It's more of a non-fictional book, and I would like people to read my book. Like, it's on Wattpad. You can find it on Wattpad. It already has 710 reads. The votes are kind of less, but I'm having a positive outlook towards it. Writing this book, it was more to help people going through depression, people that have anxiety, people that don't know how to deal with their emotions. So everyone goes through depression, but it's not the end of the world. Some people take the easy way out, but that's not really the easy way out, like to take your life. Sometimes we die emotionally, like, you know, but then that's not the easy way out. There are other ways you can deal with. Like, for example, I wrote my book to let out my emotions, in a way to let out my emotions. Some people do painting, some people go to music, some people do dancing, all of that. So I wrote this book to assist people emotionally.
Brought us to the end of today's news segment. Now we head over to the interview while we speak to Petrus Jacobus Piekat, who is a police committee member in Kwes. He gives us an update on the ongoing theft going on in Kwes, and this is what he had to say.
Ek is meneer Petrus Jacobus Piekat. Ek is ook ek is in die police komitee.
So kan u net vir ons vertel oor die oor die diefstal hier wat gebeur in Kwes?
Die diefstal was vorige 2-3 jaar redelik gevaarlik tot in hierdie jaar. Maar ek sien in hierdie jaar dat die boere seker baie ander planne uitgemaak. Dat die ouens op elke aand waar hulle uitgaan, dan word hulle gevang. Maar die diefstal gaan nog voort.
En watter dinge doen hulle anders hierdie jaar as van alle ander jare?
Hulle het nou die plaasboere het meeste nou die dinge so op die kameras en dat die polisie lyk my ook mense wat hulle miskien mondelik kan sê, soos ek sien.
So ver in die jaar, hoe sal u sê hoeveel diefstal het al gebeur en hoeveel goed is al gesteel?
Ja, nou my, as ek kan sê, is amper 100 goed. Het gebeur amper so elke tweede, derde nag. Voornamelijk as het hier van die 20ste af is. En as Kwes baie bedrywig is, dan begin die diefstalsaak. Die diefstal. En dit word maar geverkoop vir R150 of bier en 2 pille of 'n sol. Dit is die prys wat hulle kry. Maar die goed is om min of meer 'n bok. As ons so 1.500 tot 2.800 wat jy vir 'n bok kry, dan kom verkoop die manne vir dit. Die skap loop ook so van 8.000-9.000. Dan kom verkoop die manne vir R150 of vir 'n pil of vir 'n kan. Dis dit hulle die karkas te kom vra. Van hulle lyn of hierdie goed weg het 'n man nou nie weet nie. As jy hom weggelei te kry so 1.600. So weglei 'n karkas.
So, nadat u deel van die polisiekomitee is, wat is dit wat julle plan om nou seker maak julle hanteer hierdie sake?
As ek moet reg sê, as seker nog 2019, 2018 goed, wanneer die COVID begin het. Dis die laaste. Ons het nie weer by mekaar gekom. Ek het hier in die begin van die jaar gevra, maar ek het ook geen antwoord gegee nie. Hulle het net vir my gesê, hulle is nog besig. Ons het nie weer by mekaar gekom as 'n polisiekomitee. Nie weer nie.
Hoekom dink u dit is so? Dat julle nie al by mekaar gekom het?
Dis weens die COVID het hulle gesê, wat hulle moet nog uitgaan. Moontlik sal ons nou in die tyd kyk wat hulle maak.
So wat hoop u as deel van die gemeenskap en die polisiekomitee member, wat hoop u hoe dinge beter raak vir Kwes hierso?
As die dinge moet beter raak in Kwes, dan moet ons hande vat mekaar van die blanke af tot die nie blanke. Dan sal ons vir Kwes kan op die diefstalsake van Kwes kan behartig. Maar as die blanke hierdie kant is en die nie blanke hierdie kant, dan bly dit dieselfde. Want die stel sake is ook deur mekaar, dus nie blank en blank wat steel, jy weet nie. Maar die blank bly mos maar op die nie blank. Bly dit mos maar. Maar tot hier toe word nou redelik gevang.
Choose your flex package with Paratus today. Sign up for ultra-fast fiber with the convenience of mobile LTE. That's 2 products in 1 bundle. It's new, it's 1 bill, and you can stay connected in more than 1 location.
For more information, visit paratus.africa/NA.
Always prepared. Paratus.
Focusing on the weather in the south, Rehoboth is mostly sunny and hot, although spotty showers are expected tomorrow, whereafter it will clear until Sunday. Mariental and Keetmanshoop are mostly sunny and hot, with a couple of thunderstorms forecast for Sunday. Karasburg can expect plenty of sunshine over the next few days, with some clouds forecast for Sunday. And finally, some low clouds are forecast for Luderitz that will lift by the weekend, when temperatures are expected to decrease somewhat.
We know that violence against women and girls is pervasive everywhere in the world. So now imagine a conflict breaks out, or a natural disaster happens, or a global pandemic like the one we have seen since 2020 breaks out. Institutions are often focused on addressing this crisis. And in conflict settings, some of the institutions that are responsible for protecting women's rights collapse. The United Nations and UN Women work around the world to address some of these challenges. We make sure that women and girls who are victims of violence access services, including justice, health, psychosocial support, and reintegration. We also work to address the root causes that generate violence, for example, addressing harmful social norms and masculinities.
Well, that has brought us to the end of today's show. I hope you found it informative and insightful. My name is Monique Adams, and I hope to see you again next week Wednesday, same time, same place.